It's my dead man switch. Are you going to do it? Because you can put that thing, can't you? Like, if I don't log into this website every day, it will go onto all social media.
Is that a horror film?
No, it's... You can
sounds like some shit horror film you'd watch, Cleves, and you'd be like, I don't know what the story was. It's weird. It's set in social media. It's found footage. And, a guy has to go on a website every day for a week. If he doesn't, his balls get cut off. I want to say before we start this that I forgot how terrifying this was, and it's the scariest thing I've ever heard, and it really, really puts the willies up.
Oh,
me.
good.
It is absolutely amazing.
Okay.
Yes.
It is
James,
brilliant.
did you know the ending before you listened to it?
Okay.
Oh, thank God.
You told me not to.
Start the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Britain. An ancient kingdom with legends of violence, cruelty, and torment in its blood. Join your hosts, Ross, John, and James, as they bravely tread where few would dare. Witness their journey into the horrific history of British horror. They are the General Witchfinders.
Ladies and gentlemen, goblins and ghouls, welcome back to the 27th episode of General Witchfinders podcast.
27.
I'm James, in Bournemouth, in Southern England.
James was a bit kind of, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the north.
I'm sort of channeling.
Oh, I didn't like that. My name is, I'm John, and I'm in South Wales, which is in the south of Wales.
I'm Ross in Dorchester in Southern England, and this time we bring you our 2020 Nigel Neale double bill, which I like the illustration there, featuring The Road and Beasts Baby.
Beast Baby.
Beast Baby. Thomas Nigel Neale was a British screenwriter who wrote professionally for more than 50 years. He was a winner of the Somerset Maugham and was twice nominated for the BAFTA Award for Best British Screenplay. This year is the 100th anniversary of his birth. Predominantly a writer of thrillers that used science fiction and horror elements, he was best known for the creation of the character of Professor Bernard Quatermass. Neale wrote well-received television dramas such as The Year of the Sex Olympics, amazing title, and the currently third highest-scoring General Witchfinders classic, The Stone Tape, in addition to the Quatermass series. He is being described as one of the most influential writers of the 20th century, and as, in quotes, having invented popular TV. So this is part one, The Road. And The Road is a 1963 British television play by Neale. It was broadcast as part of the BBC television anthology drama series First Night. An Australian remake was aired the following year. However, no recordings of the play, renowned as one of the great missing masterpieces of British television, are known to exist, having been tragically wiped by the BBC. So, we listened to the BBC Radio 4 audio adaptation, written by Toby Hodoke and directed by Charlotte Richards, aired on the 27th of October 2018. The production stars Mark Gatiss, the amazing Mark Gatiss as Gideon Cobb, Adrian Scarborough as Sir Timothy Hassel, and Hattie Morahan as Lady Lavinia Hassel.
There we go.
There you go. Right.
What are the other highest scoring? The Omen.
The Omen and
The Signalman.
Yeah, the Christmas.
Double bill. The Christmas double bill.
Oh, interesting. I think that I actually do now prefer the Stone Tape to the Omen in retrospect. But
yeah, I think we was just we had Richard Donner fever, didn't we? And I have had a fever after many a Donner in the past as well.
And The Signalman, excellent.
The reason why I said it's currently our third highest score is I feel this one could bust open the scoring charts today.
Yeah. This might be the Ukraine in last night's Eurovision.
Yes.
To, instantly date this
Destroy the
episode.
Yeah. It's also a blood red moon tonight as well, so that could help you date when it is.
It's not happening here because it's pissing it down.
Yeah,
it's overcast.
Now, I think you can tell how, like, normally I write all like 4 or 5 pages of pithy remarks to try and make myself look in some way amusing when we do this. But the level of quality, I've literally just got 1 page of notes. Most of it's just say this is amazing.
Yeah, but also I think because this is our first audio drama we've done as well, so there's no visuals to discuss. So
no,
John, you wanted to do this. Why did you want to do?
Because I didn't know. I'd heard that it was the centenary of Nigel Neale, who I didn't know had a first name actually. Joins the other famous first name not users, like my dad, Peter John Pountney, my friend Lee, who was Philip Lee Evans, my other friend, Peter James Nee, who was James Nee. I don't know who. Are there any
Russell
other
T.
famous?
Davis. That's not his first real name.
Is it not really?
Yeah.
What's his first name?
Looking up now.
Interesting. So I didn't know that Stephen Russell T. Davis.
It's Stephen Russell Davis. That's his real name. I think the T has been added in.
The T is anything.
Yeah. I think it's the...
So I thought, right, because it's a centenary, we should do a tie-in, TV tie-in. I didn't know that you had heard this before, Ross, and I presume that James hadn't heard it because it's kind of it's unheralded as a radio drama. I think it's really good, and I think it's only been repeated. I think this is only the second time it's been repeated in 4 years since it was on, as it were. And I can't remember when I first heard it, but I just remember the last 10 minutes really giving me the willies. And it's weird in the way that it feels a bit unescapable listening to it. It's very different. It's a very different experience to watching something visual, isn't it? If you listen to it on headphones, it really does give you the collywobbles.
Yeah, but the 2 times I've listened to it for this, I listened whilst driving in the car on my own, and I think that added an extra element to it as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So just to say to everyone,
yes,
there will be loads of spoilers in this, and it is something you don't want to be spoiled from. It is available online on the Internet Archive. So I put a link in the show notes for this. Go and listen to that before you listen to this podcast. It's about 45 minutes long, isn't it?
It's 44 minutes.
Okay.
It's on, by the time we've done this and it's live, it will have gone off the sounds. It's on for 2 more days on BBC Sounds.
So go and listen to it on the link I got. You often listen to us talk for over 2 hours about a load of bullshit, so I think you can listen to a properly produced play.
I highly recommend that, and I was going to suggest
real actual thing.
So to both of our listeners, thank you, as always. But what I would recommend that you, as Ross says, go away and listen to it right now, because number one, you can't talk about it without spoiling it, and everyone should listen to this because John said to me after we'd finished last time out, if you heard the American Werewolf in London podcast, John said to me, "Do not be spoiled. Don't look it up. Just listen to it." Amazing advice. I'm very grateful for that, because by God, it's superb.
Well, the beauty of it is the reveal, isn't it? And you can't. There's so many things now that you watch that don't really have a twist ending, because you kind of know. Like all those fucking Marvel movies. There's no twist ending in any of those, is there? Because it's just all they do is set up the next thing. Whereas this doesn't have to set up anything except really giving you the willies. I do have a kind of spoiler beforehand, which isn't related to the actual thing. Well, because it kind of gives away the ending here. I had nightmares the other night, good old-fashioned nightmares, because I saw the trailer to When the Wind Blows on Twitter.
Right, yeah.
The animated film. And I watched the trailer to that. And then I had a very vivid nuclear apocalypse nightmare because of that the same night, which I wasn't really prepared for, not having had a nuclear apocalypse nightmare for about 30 years. Mm-hmm. But I think all of our generation probably had those kind of nightmares, didn't they? But
a nuclear apocalyptic nightmare does sound like you shat yourself. You know that.
Also, are you aware? I almost sent this to you, John, but I thought I don't want to trigger him or set him off. But our calendar has synced up with whatever year it is in threads. So it's like Sunday, the 8th of September. Yeah. It's this. It's and calendars become
you're
right
joking
again. Yeah, so we're in a threads year.
Yeah, and Finland. Did Finland and Sweden want to join NATO?
I'd kill myself weeks and days before any kind of nuclear apocalypse. I'd just be like, "Fuck this! What's the point?"
Oh, I don't know. I do know where I will set up my post-apocalyptic court, where I would be the sheriff of Dorchester. The Great Hall in Dorchester Museum. Yeah.
Basically, the first episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be me.
Q on a floating chair, dressed like Cardinal Wolsey or something, isn't he?
Yeah, and that'll be Ross's outfit.
I have said in the past I want to dress like that. I've said that about many things. I did a nice picture of Q in that outfit the other day. It came to me. I think it was like automatic writing. I started doodling.
Like the channel John Delancey.
Looking very fancy.
Oh, there we are.
Just to say, I think it's a thunderstorm about to start. Lightning's flashing.
We're meant to be having one here, but nothing's happened yet.
Yeah, so if you hear thunder in the background, guys...
Good.
It's not a sound effect. Well, it kind of goes with the story we're about to review, doesn't it?
Okay, so should we go for the story?
We'll go through the story. Yeah. I've got very scant notes as well, so I don't know how long... But it starts in a spooky woodland with some local yokels, doesn't it?
Brilliant.
Quiet, Sam.
Spook, Loki.
Tighten the rope, Jeff. These things will weigh it down. It needs to be taut.
Hey, you're getting a bit of a tune out of it now, Loki.
I'll just be doing what the squire showed us.
He showed us how, but he left us to do it.
He's the squire. Besides, he's got a visitor.
So this meant to charm him or scare him then?
Who?
The spooks, Loki, the squire's
Ralph Ineson, who does exactly the same voice as he does in The Witch.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's the only voice he's got, but it's a very good voice.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
He's turned into, I think, just for the benefit of any foreign listeners, he kind of sort of came to attention because he was Chris Finch, the horrible bully in the British version of The Office.
Yeah, which is amazing.
And he could throw a kettle over a pub. What have you done?
Yeah.
Right? All of that amazing stuff. But then he kind of not reinvented himself. Like the roles that he picks in subsequent years have just been incredible.
He's just he's a badge of a great film. If you see him,
he is. Absolutely. He's incredible in The Witch. He makes a little cameo appearance in The Northman as well, doesn't he, Ross? He's at the end of that. He's in the Last Jedi. He was in The Last Jedi, and his roles cut down.
Back man, what I said about there being the sign of a good film. But
have I seen The Last Jedi? Which one is that?
Fuck off.
Is that the one? The last one?
No,
it's the middle one.
He's in that, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, James. I was just that was an open door. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Who is he in that?
He is one of the Imperial officers.
Is he really?
When Finn breaks into the Star Destroyer and they dress up, there is a longer scene where he's stood in a lift with Ralph Ineson. I always say his name wrong. And then
I don't know if it's Ineson or Ineson.
They say Ineson, but then when they get captured, you see him momentarily, thus pointing out, like, he partially figured it all out too. Mm-hmm. The ruse is up, but that's the only moment that you see him. But Rian Johnson was such a big fan of The Witch. Both he and the woman who plays the mother, she's also in Last Jedi.
Okay, cool.
Because he's such a big fan of it. Anyway.
The one that plays the mother is terrifying, isn't she?
Yeah, she is really scary.
She scares the living piss out of me.
That bit when the bird is pecking at her breast is just...
Jesus Christ.
So they are setting up something for the squire. Him and his accomplice. This name kept pissing me off because Lukey. Lukey,
they
keep saying Lukey, and I was like, I don't like that name. Stop saying, and they kept saying it over and over again.
We should point out that this is set in like 1768 or something. Isn't
correct.
It?
So the squire's getting them to set up almost like an alarm because he's going to do an experiment in the woods and it's to stop anyone interfering with it. And then there's
like bells and stuff on a tree, isn't it?
Yeah,
kind of
tripwires and stuff.
Yes.
But they're saying that this is a spooky wood, and there's been sort of ghostly goings on that happened in the past. So but then their dog Sam starts.
He gets the willies, doesn't he?
And they hear, and I thought there was a great bit in here because they were saying. They hear a noise. He goes, that's the sound of rats. You know what the sound of rats make?
Yes, I thought the same.
Yeah.
So is that something Nigel Neale has written, or is that something that
Toby Haydock's put in?
He's put that in, hasn't he?
I don't know, but yeah, if you watch the Stone Tape and listen to our podcast on there,
or if you've listened to every episode of ours, we quote that at least once.
Country lads, you know what rats sound like.
Sorry, everyone.
And they find the bones or the skeleton of
something,
of a child,
of something. Yeah. So that's a bit of a red herring at that point, isn't it? Or a bit of a MacGuffin where you're kind of, you're thinking very much about a haunting from the past, aren't you? Not to give too much away at this point.
Well, we've warned them. We've warned them. So
it's really good atmosphere. It's very well put together. Because I listen to quite a lot of these BBC drama, like ghost stories and dramas and stuff on the Sounds app, and the quality of a lot of them
varies, isn't it?
Is extremely variable. I listened to one the other day that was a kind of rereading of a Daphne du Maurier story where the sound of a gunshot was just like pew pew, and it just spoiled all the atmosphere of the story.
Yeah.
That it sounded like something from Tom and Jerry or something.
Yeah.
But this one is very atmospheric and works really, really well.
And aside, have you listened?
Should be on headphones, I think.
Definitely, or on a car
headphones.
With very good speakers.
So you've got surround sound.
You listen to Doctor Who Redacted on BBC Sounds?
I don't understand. No,
it's really good.
I just think at this point Doctor Who is about as far away from my enjoyment of Doctor Who as it can get.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for it to come back on that arc and start coming back towards like basically Remembrance of the Daleks or like something like that. This
is when we do have an apocalypse, and Doctor Who is going to be like a play which is put on in my court in Dorchester. And you appear as like
the magical blue
tinker.
Box.
Yes. Then we meet Mark Gatiss.
But he's fantastic, isn't he? That he is someone that I can't even think of anything negative about him. The things that he's produced and done, I think, are superb. And John,
Pop was Doctor Who, maybe.
No, all right. But what I would say is that series he did on the history of horror is top notch. And then that thing that he did on your favourite, John, the horror whose name
Ghost Adventures,
Zach Bagans.
Zach Bagans.
M.R. James.
M.R. James, thank you.
Yes,
that thing he did on M.R. James was fantastic.
It's really good. Yeah.
His Christmas horror stories, I just
very
think
good.
Great as well. And ever since you told me that when you met him, he was really lovely, that has just pushed him up into a
big Roger Moore fan.
Nothing. There you go. Enough said. I can think nothing bad about him.
I was so disappointed when we went to see League of Gentlemen at the Bic. We came out the car park. We went to turn around the back, and him and Steve and Reese were outside, like getting photographs of people. And I was in the car, and I couldn't get out the car, and I was like,
couldn't get out the car, wrestling with his seatbelt.
No, because there was other cars waiting behind us, and I couldn't get out, and I was like, I missed my opportunity.
Oh no.
So he's fantastic, and he absolutely smashes this. He's Cobb.
What I really like in this is, yes, he's the main protagonist.
Antagonist,
again,
I would say.
Interesting.
Well, in this, again, I've written that you've got this kind of Nigel Neale thing that he does quite often, and certainly does in Stone Tape. You don't really have a hero or a kind of... You don't know who you're rooting for. You don't know who's going to be proven wrong and who's proven right, and morally where that kind of puts the story in. But I think that is the point of the story, isn't it? Because they're both kind of discredited by the end of it. So Gatiss plays this kind of London coffee house, 18th century kind of philosopher, or kind of a bit of a just kind of boring.
Yes.
Well, he's very self-assured, isn't he?
Yes.
Well, I was very excited because I felt he's on he's part of my squad. As someone who did philosophy for a degree, who teaches philosophy, I was like, here's my man. And I'm going to get very pretentious here, everyone, so brace yourself. You might want to... to both of our listeners, I'm very sorry about this in advance. But one of the things that I really, really loved about all this, and as I often say to students, is he introduces himself. He says, I am a philosopher. But of course, because of the time in which it's set, 1768, if you would have gone and spoken to Isaac Newton and said, what's your job? What do you do? Newton would have said, I'm a natural philosopher. There wasn't such a thing as science. The scientific method, the sciences, the branches of science had not become delineated yet. But of course, this is what's great about this story is that it's set at that point where it's set during the heart of the Enlightenment, and it's kind of we're starting to get a better understanding of the world, and he represents that, doesn't he? He just says, "Look, one day we'll understand everything. We'll get there. Everything is a method."
James, I haven't done philosophy for years now. Is it an imperialist is someone who says that everything's in the world? Is that correct?
Empiricist,
sorry,
is someone who says that knowledge is based on experience.
Yeah, so he's an opposite then, isn't he? Because he's saying I can do everything from my mind. I don't need to experiment, because the other guy is the guy who's experimenting. He said,
the other guy is the one, in inverted commas, who is seen as being the one that kind of believes in quirks and spooks and ghouls. But the other one is the one who is actually who is being more of a scientist, in inverted commas, because he's trying to do experiments to prove the existence of something which is seen as being supernatural or fictional.
Yeah, well,
and that's where you've got this kind of ambiguity with this, which is what makes it so interesting.
My understanding of it is that the squire is someone who he believes there's something there, but he can't. It's almost beyond his grasp. Like, so he's talks about things like electricity as being something which is like liquid. That's the only way he can make sense of it. But he thinks that I might not have it right now, but if I keep recording like the phenomenon, so at some point someone will build upon all of this experimental stuff and work it out eventually. Whereas Cobb, played by Mark Gatiss, I feel like he said, well, we don't need to do any of this stuff which is in the world. If we just
use reason alone.
Yeah, we just reason it out. That we will come to it. And the real world is actually stopping us from getting anywhere. And I thought that was...
And the other thing which I thought was beautifully observed for a 45-minute thing is that, as you said, Bruce, that Cobb, in many ways, he's not such a good guy, because, as we know, he has someone who he has freed from slavery, and he is I wiped all the nonsense from his mind, and I have replaced it with facts and knowledge and things, and that makes you go, but also that's beautifully in keeping with, by the as we moved into the 18th, it's the 19th century, you get like the utilitarians, people like Jeremy Bentham. And for these guys, they would say, well, if you're trying to figure out what is the right and wrong thing to do, you just literally look at the numbers. You can't concern yourself with people's rights or anything such as that. Society is a formula to be, is a mathematical puzzle to solve. Not that,
That this character,
and I thought,
sorry. Sorry, Jane.
No, so I was just going to say, so I thought that was so brilliant that he represents that too. As I was listening to it, I thought, this is so tight and this is so well written and well realised to represent that period in time. Super.
In 45 minutes. And tell a story.
Yeah.
So essentially, the wife of the squire has brought him from London. I couldn't understand. Are they looking for him to be some kind of like benefactor for the experiments? Was that felt like maybe what the pretense was? Also, it's implied that she actually wants to sleep with him as well.
Yes. Yes. The subtext there is he wants to cop off with her, doesn't he?
Yeah, and she wants to cop off with him as well.
Yeah, but we don't know what he's a bit of a dry old sticker husband, as they would say in the 1960s, isn't he? And then we've got the kind of manservant. I don't want to use slave because he's kind of been
he's an ex-slave.
He's like he's been emancipated, hasn't he? But what's the subtext there for that? That's what got me thinking, and I did wonder if there is a subtext, what is the subtext for the?
I think it's what James was saying is that he supposedly freed a slave and then made him into like almost human, which is by giving him the sense to reason, and
or Western values.
Exactly. And there was a point where it's said, well, it's assumed that maybe he did that for a good reason, but he's just saying, well, no, I just did it to see if I could do it. And then she said, but you've written to say that slavery will end. But he's got no moral side to that. He said, well, it will, because at some point we'll have machines that can do what slaves do. So That's the only reason. So I think it's to sort of show that he's actually immoral, this guy, but he is very detached from the world. It's just all very much cerebral for him, like how he looks at the world.
The kind of the way he deals with the manservant and the way he talks about him, Jethro, reminded me a lot of Frankenstein in terms of like, the kind of creation of the perfect man. And the idea behind the novel is that Frankenstein is trying to create this perfect man. And that's to do, I mean, this is set in a similar era. It's about probably 50 years before Frankenstein was written. This is set, so it's all the similar kind of tropes, isn't it? To do
Age of Enlightenment, nightmares. Yep.
He's not doing it for altruistic reasons. He's doing it just because he thinks he's a big head and
to see if he can do it.
He just wants to show off, really. One thing I do want to say at this point, I really enjoyed the little inflections that Mark Gatiss puts into his voice.
Yeah,
in
so
it,
he's a bit
where it's a little bit militaristic, and he sounds a bit like a kind of general, doesn't he? That's kind of like, a bit pissed, a bit kind of bored, and he's got that kind of clipped English kind of upper class intellectual kind of bore. And he gets it really well. He's probably met quite a lot of them in his life, unfortunately, for Mark Gatiss. So he probably has to like, you write for Doctor Who? Well. I've never really liked it much myself,
Jethro is an experiment. You see, I make them too. On the whole, he works.
He's a man.
He is now. Almost. He was bought in slavery by an old friend of mine. I emptied his mind clean and poured in new impressions. I set him at all matters to seek truth. Tested his brain against others in argument, and at last, that savage is the equal of any man in the kingdom.
Then why do you not respect him?
Respect? Respect, sir, is no part or parcel of the matter. You might as sensibly ask me to respect him for the silver buckles I put upon him.
I can respect him.
Sir, you have a vice of politeness in you.
Politeness of vice?
Many it is. Should your husband succeed this night, he'll beg pardon of the ghosts for raising him. And I notice you are happy to have my slave fetch and carry for you whilst respecting him as a man.
You speak so, Mr. Cobb.
And mean it too.
Yet you fight against slavery.
Slavery has always existed, madam.
You have written against it.
But not to signal my virtuousness. I have said it will come to an end. Not quite the same thing. Good or bad, it must end by being ridiculous. Machines will supplant it.
Machines?
Without a doubt. The great steam pumps we see now are going to have 1 million descendants. In 100 years, in 250 certainly, machines will do all the world's fetching and carrying. They'll carry men through the air and over the seas. They can free man from his folly, his savagery.
How can they? Man will have made them.
Yes, and they will sow and reap for us, water the deserts, melt the polar snows.
All this with steam.
They'll be far greater forces.
They're in the pub, and they because the two workmen they also came across the landlord's daughter while they was out there, and they bring her back.
Not Brit Eklund,
though. And bring her back to the pub, and she's someone who's seen the road before,
yes,
witnessed something along those lines.
So she's kind of touched with the third eye or whatever, isn't it? So she's got the ability to like see spirits and stuff. Around this time, I've noted in inverted commas, the catastrophic event in the past imprints itself on the landscape.
Yes,
which is a very
that's a theory, isn't it?
Yeah, but that again is not a new theory to supernatural fiction at this point with Nigel Neale, but he is the one in Quatermass in the Stone Tape. He puts this like unique twist on this kind of idea of a traumatic event leaving a kind of residual ghost in the machine kind of idea.
And I think it's interesting they're talking about electricity at this point as well, and I think he's talking about them in a similar sort of way that we know electricity exists, but we don't understand it enough at the moment, so we're trying to describe it. And he's saying, well, what if there's another thing that exists which has like trauma, which can contain trauma, has some kind of way of recording, and that also can be there. And there's later on they talk about he's got bottles because he wants to see if it does exist. He wants to try and get it in a bottle.
Yeah. Which is
at this point
an excellent idea again.
I've written down excitedly, it's the Stone Tape prequel.
Yes.
And I suddenly realised, I was like, oh, cool, I see what he's kind of doing here. And with the Stone Tape, I noticed that as with poor old Jane Asher, women are just like dismissed out of hands. And I thought that's interesting, like a Nigel Neale thing that was, oh, well, you're a woman. You wouldn't know. And I thought, it's interesting how, both stories have that in common.
But they are right often.
They are right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's not Nigel Neale dismissing them. It's the characters who are in the story. Yeah.
It's the idiots in the story who are just like, oh, well, you couldn't understand because you're just a weak female, weaker species. It's that kind of.
But it's an interesting
isn't it?
Point here, I think, where she's saying they have this story of Boadicea, which is like a legend around there. And then Mark Gatiss' character said, well, she's just saying that because she's heard that story. And then she starts saying, well, no, if I was saying that story, I would have things like the trumpets and the chariots. But that's not what I heard. I heard something different. And
I heard roads.
The
sound of things on a road.
Road on coals. And she said, but there's never been a road in the woods.
It spooks the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And her name is Tetsi, which is quite a weird name.
Another name that annoyed me.
There's weird names, isn't it? Why can't she just be called something like
Fiona?
Philomena? Exactly.
I was going to say
like
Beryl.
Tetsi and Lukey. And, what were you going to say? Beryl?
Beryl. Yeah.
Beryl Reid.
Beryl.
Not enough Beryls in the world anymore.
No. So we have this idea planted that it's on the 27th of October every year that she hears a humming, buzzing noise. So Jethro takes down this kind of testimony that she's questioned. She describes, like Ross has said, a great cobbled road. And then there's this kind of idea is put forward then that Jethro is very civilized and he can identify equipment. And this is where I've started writing about Cyberdyne systems, where they then come into this idea that kind of hand in hand with the idea of emancipation and slavery, like we've already said, that the kind of the emancipation of the slaves is more to do with the fact that they're replaced by machines rather than any kind of altruistic idea, and I think that's really interesting. But obviously, as we know as science fiction fans, that only leads to Cyberdyne Systems Model 101 or something, whatever it's called. And I think that's where you start to see the very clever kind of mix of folk horror and kind of socio-historical stuff, which Nigel Neale, really invented
and he's starting to foreshadow what's happening as well, isn't he?
Yeah, it's where he mixes sci-fi with horror, and I think that he's the first person to really think of doing stuff like that. And that's the twist in this is so imaginative.
James, at what point did you need to tell us? At what point you worked out what was happening?
You guessed.
Was it at this point?
No.
No? Oh, that's good.
No.
Because it does keep you thinking, doesn't it? Like, they introduce thermometers and all this stuff to do with, like, all the stuff that we know that are the tropes of hauntings. And at this point, it's there that it's meant to be to do with the future. But the way they're talking is still all to do with, like, it's being ghosts from the past. And obviously, there's no reason why ghosts are only ever from the past. They sometimes should be from the future, shouldn't they?
But there's an interesting bit when he's got, like, a cat's head.
Yes.
Because he wants to use the whiskers in order to pick up some kind of vibes.
The vibes.
Yeah.
Well, because what I thought was, having watched the Stone tape, my thought was, everything's going to end up quite dark. And I just thought, something will happen to Cobb. Something is like Cobb will go, that classic thing of, I was so naive. But then it turned out it was me that was naive for not seeing quite how ambitious and how clever the ending was.
Yes.
And the other thing that I really love before we get onto the twist in that is the fact that he says all the way through, kind of all science seems to be witchcraft until it's understood. And that's always a really rich theme and an idea. I thought, that's really good. And all the way through, as he keeps on talking about the future, keep on saying that in the future it will be like this. And, one day we'll move forward and things will be better. And once again, that Enlightenment dream of, we're on an upward arc. Things can be better. But as you said, but then the fantastic element of the fact that even though with Enlightenment era thinkers, there was this dream of, yes, let's make everything better. There was also this dark side to it of like, okay, well, we're going to impose our will as Cobb has done on Jethro. I've decided that this is what's good for us. And then when you think about what happens at the end, that's what I think Nigel Neale was saying was, our folly of believing technology is the best. This also will come at a price.
Yes.
And this will doom us too. And I thought, that's brilliant.
Yeah. I remember, I think it was, I was either reading or listening to something about War of the Worlds. And and I may have said this in one of our past episodes, but they were saying that.
Did James say at the start how many we've done now?
27.
No, but was that mentioned at the start? Because I didn't react with my usual.
No, he did say it, yeah.
Good Lord.
Maybe he just passed out.
Edit it in. 27. Oh, God.
What was I going to say? They were saying that in the past, like sort of Victorian times, and that of science fiction was all about the far future and how much better things are going to be in the future. And they were saying that the closer we get to now, we don't look very far into the future anymore. We don't have this we don't have this visionary of like what that of like some amazing exciting things that can happen in the future. We kind of look to like what's going to happen next year. And
because everyone's so fucking knackered.
Yeah, and I think we've got we've lost that kind of. I think because we've got all these technological marvels around us.
Yeah,
we can't imagine anything crazier or bigger than what we got now. And also I think that everything is just so boring with technology now. It's just like,
I think a lot of that is to do with politics, and there's no politics of optimism anymore. Politics these days is just all about like fear of someone taking your job, fear of people coming from another country, fear of like literally like fear of fucking everything. So you just lose that imaginative. Like if you think of the late 90s when Labour came in and the optimism then was just like, thank fuck we've got rid of the Tories. And now we've been stuck with the Tories again for another fucking 12 years. And it's like, you you can't imagine getting rid of them now, can you? And I think that's to do with, and I think that's the same in America. I think because of how Trump and a lot of, the right-wing stuff in America is like, that kind of optimism now is just like,
I think
everyone just feels knackered.
I think that from the Industrial Revolution, lots of big things happened and that people saw big changes happening and they got big leap forwards and things were starting to get better. And so I think they were extrapolating, we're just going to keep making bigger and bigger leaps and things will get better and better and better. Whereas we've got like smaller things and things are getting worse. And it's like, it's very, very negative viewing now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've forgotten how we got onto this.
But anyway, I said back onto it. Back onto the plot.
Yes. Something that made me laugh was the fact that they've brought Roman costumes along.
Yes.
Which made me think of Ghost Adventures when they go to, say, the OK Corral and they take guns and cowboy hats. And then they're like, come on, ghosts. Like, does this remind you of the old days? And it's like, I would like to see part of the episode done with them dressed as Roman centurions, like walking up and down trying to get the...
But that's how Christopher Reeve travelled in time, isn't it? He just sat in a room and got rid of any object that looked like from modern times and just imagined himself in the past, didn't he?
Yeah. What film is that? What's it called?
I can't remember.
Is it Jane Seymour or someone like that in it? It's like a romantic film, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hang on.
I can remember watching that and thinking, okay, I'm going to lay in bed and just try and push myself into the past.
I did the same, and it's bollocks. It's so bollocks that it's not even like.
Who knew that the link between human consciousness and temporality is not malleable? It's just called Somewhere in Time.
Somewhere in Time.
Is it really? And who's in it, James?
You are quite right. It is Jane Seymour and Christopher Plummer.
Well, I thought it was Christopher Plummer.
And Christopher Reeve.
Okay,
Christopher Reeve is the
Georg von Trapp.
What?
Georg von Trapp.
I thought you said gay old man trap.
That was another name for our podcast.
That's in Jago's.
Yes.
Every
first Sunday of every month.
Gay old man trap.
I did put down the only one thing of like mild amusement. Although there are 2 bits of mild amusement for me is I'll just put is that there's much twazzing afoot.
Yes,
twas. Yes, twas, sir.
Yonder.
Yes, there's much twazzing over yonder. Yeah.
But one of the aspect I liked of when they got all the costumes and the instruments is that when it started kicking off, the instruments start playing themselves. And I didn't. First time I listened to this through recently, I didn't get that. What that noise was, and then they said, the instruments are starting to like vibrate and stuff. Well, that's pretty cool.
I liked the part when Mark Gatiss' character basically tries to crack on to the wife of his squire. And there's an awful lot fit into 45 minutes, isn't there? But it does show that
he's a player.
It was a little bit confusing whether they were on their own or the husband was
just in front of people.
Yeah.
I think he's not non-moral. He's just kind of
one of those dirty philosophers, isn't he, James?
Absolutely.
He's just kind of like, I think he thinks he's above morals, doesn't he? So it's kind of like, I'm doing you a favour by taking away from your boring husband kind of thing. And, there's no malice in it. It's just going to enrich your life.
But doesn't he say something about morality and just saying, a lot of the things we figure are immoral just hurt. They actually hurt us. That's why morals are there to stop it from doing it. There's no such thing as morals. It's just a case of like, stop it. Like he talks about.
It's very similar to David Hume's view again, and that was in the 1700s. So again, hats off to Nigel Neale. Historically on the money. That is the kind of view that people had during that time.
Yeah, because he's talked about getting.
And we studied all of this in university, didn't we, Cleves?
Yeah. I can't remember much of it at all, but I gave him
the stuff I can remember, I could literally write on the side of one postage stamp.
But do you often look...
And that would be the words Block and Barclay, and I don't even know who they are.
But part of me thinks I wish I could go back and just do it because it would be quite easy. And now, like, having having an adult's mind. No, in as much as
yeah.
yeah.
The fact that it was 9 o'clock on a Friday morning didn't help me.
Yeah.
I should point out to the listeners that Ross and I did the same university course, which is called Art and Aesthetics, which was 60% art and 40% theory, which is what directly led to me getting a 2-1 rather than a first. Because I was marked down for my theory, not for my practical. So I got a first for my practical, okay, folks?
Yeah.
Who's the real winner here?
Yeah, it's Thunder and Lightning.
No way.
My table
the
was
rain now.
shook with thunder just then, so I don't know if anyone...
What's happening in the garage, James?
Nothing.
No thunder?
Nothing.
Is it Thunder and Lightning in the East Dorset?
The East. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Ooh.
Literally
I like the sound effect of the blinds going up.
Yeah. I'm scared of Thunder and Lightning now, so I've become as an adult, so I don't know what it is. So,
what's the matter with you?
If I get a little bit nervous,
What do you mean you don't know what it is?
No, I was never scared of it until, I don't know, the last 10 years or so. And,
oh, you mean you don't know why you're scared? You don't know what lightning is?
No, I do know what lightning is, yeah. But they do discuss
I don't know what it is, I'm scared of it.
It's been living in Dorchester too long, mate.
Yeah. The big noise in the sky, like drums. And then it was like the sun shone for a second.
All my
devil's
were worried.
Down.
So if you can hear the rain,
my sheep were worried.
Where were we?
So we get to the kind of reveal of the road now, and the idea of this road, and I've written down how unnatural the thought of that is in this wood.
Yeah,
that they're in like this total countryside kind of bucolic thing, and then it's just this idea of this massive road
with things
and how
moving
modern,
on it.
really, how modern that idea is. Really, that you know, a motorway now is even if you think of in my nan's lifetime, like a tarmacked road was is just a totally alien concept. You know, she started off with cobbled streets and stuff. I would have thought in Castleford, 1910, she was born. So to see that, you know, to have that as an idea, like transported back into the 1760s when roads would have just been mudded, muddy. Only streets in towns would have been cobbled. Anything outside of towns would just be mud.
So my understanding,
tracks, you know,
is what's happened is only Mark Gatiss' character and the landlord's daughter can actually see the road. Other people are experiencing sound phenomena.
Something.
Yeah. So
which is a bit like. So he's kind of enlarging on ideas here from the last Quatermass serial, which is Quatermass and the Pit, where some humans are descended from Martians and are kind of genetically.
There was another one after the Quatermass with the stone circles. That was the last one.
Oh, right. I don't class that one. Right. The expensive one. Yeah. I'm talking about the last BBC one now. So Quatermass and the Pit. It talks about like like years ahead of its time. Talks about like humans that are just human and then humans that are genetically modified by the Martians. So you've got this difference between the humans that can kind of see stuff telepathically, and then you've got the ones that are just kind of the grunts, really, that can't kind of... Is it hailstones now?
No, it's just raining really heavily.
Wow, that's mental. So I find that a really interesting idea that, you know, that some people have this capacity, and it's like, why do some people have the capacity to see this stuff and other people don't have the capacity to see that stuff? And this is where it all starts to just go terrifying now, isn't it? Which
so
is where
you start hearing like
the reveal,
car radios, and people shouting and screaming.
I'm afraid now. You know that.
Yes.
And you want to watch it? Of course you do. Cat and mouse.
Fire! Your instruments in the clearing, come quickly! Is that you, Squire? Hi, Lukey. Stay there. We need you as high in the tree as possible. These instruments, they're reacting. The atmospheric disturbance must be vibrating the tuning forks.
What is it?
It's how it began to thaw.
Jethro, help me with some of these readings. That box, quick! It's definitely registering an electrical charge. Squire! Squire! Stay where you are, Lukey, but don't touch the metal!
Sam, come back! Oh, he spoke, sir.
Back to your post, man! Jethro!
Oh, it's real! It's real!
Stand your ground, man!
Not me, Squire. I ain't staying there to die.
Come back!
Mr. Cobb, say what this is. I know you can. You must.
Girl, do you see anything?
No, not now.
Nor I don't understand. I think... Quickly! Sir! Get out of here! I mustn't! Oh, dear! God save you, Squire! Lukey!
Hear the road now. Hear them running there. Help me! Oh, help me! Something has got hold of my leg! Oh.
You've caught your foot in the roots, that's all. Here, take my tunic. Master, you must come.
Listen. It's machines. Please. Machines, Jethro. Great machines. This can be nothing of the past.
Master!
I must hear. Leave me.
Take it quickly. What's happening, Master? We just need to leave the car for a little bit. I don't want to. Just do some
God Almighty. I can see them.
Only block. Head to the bridge.
Who, Master? People. Fleeing. Fighting for their lives. Trampling each other underfoot. Imprinting their terror in the earth beneath us.
The latest news seems to confirm that missiles have been launched. Several major cities in the United Kingdom have been targeted.
I have to drive into it.
This is an official warning that a nuclear strike.
Mummy! Lost little girl!
We're being told that everyone should try to find
Machines we can't conceive. Machines to carry man. Shining metal.
Please, stay safe and try not to panic.
You can see the Master. I can smell the fumes.
Help her! The pity's sake, help her!
We can't. We will be dead before she's born. Oh! I can see them. I can see the road. Where is it? Beneath our feet. People. Carriages. Not like Boadicea's forged by iron. Obedient machines. Obedient.
Sophie, oh Sophie, I got knocked over. Oh my baby. I'm scared. Don't be scared, it's just a wind.
Was that the missiles? I heard fragments of that. They said, what was it? Missiles. Merciful God.
We missed it.
That's got to be too far away. Radio's dead.
I see them all. All.
I do too. The girl, the little girl.
Peace.
What's that? It's a special cloud, Sophie. Hold on tight, that's it. Now, close your eyes and make a wish. Wish for anything you like and it'll happen.
You get the idea, lightning, the idea that the road is jammed because people are trying to get away from something.
The cities.
And it looks like there's a nuclear war is about to happen.
Well, you hear on the radio. You hear on the radio that peace talks, that talks have broken down and that there is going to be an exchange of, or an exchange of missiles is inevitable or is imminent. Things such as that. And so I've just written down, underlined, great twist. As I was like, now I get it.
Yeah.
They're not seeing ghosts from the past, they are seeing the future.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think he didn't get it until that point. That's where you got it, was it, James?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, good.
I think for our generation, this is the biggest fear, isn't it? If you grew up in the 80s, you saw all those public information films, you saw Threads, like even Suede had things about lyrics about like nuclear dawns and stuff. And it's like, just everything was about nuclear holocaust in the 80s. So many kids' novels like Children of the Dust. And there was another one that was like a Children's Film Foundation one where it was set in the future and it was just these kids who were like, they were in the future and it implied that the nuclear holocaust had happened.
Yeah,
and I think
the Prince and Waiting books as well. Was that a nuclear post-apoc, or was it something to do with volcanoes? I can't remember. But
nuclear. It had to do with nuclear weapons, Ross, as well, and volcanoes.
Yeah.
The nuclear weapons had caused a volcano to erupt. But that's what it was. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think for me, you hear someone say, it's a special cloud. So you hear a little girl say, "What's that, mummy?" And then mummy says, "It's a special cloud." So that's the mushroom cloud. And I think the mushroom cloud for us was like, it was this emblem that was on everything, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like Domain, James Herbert and
pretty much everything in 2000 AD was all,
oh my God. Yeah. And I think for this really just weirdly, because it's not set in the nuclear holocaust, but what it shows is the kind of inescapable fact of this future.
Yeah.
And that's what really scares me with this, is that the characters, they're safe. They're going to live for another however many years. And then there's more people and more people and more people. But at some point in the future, the dead full stop is that there's going to be a nuclear war.
And that is the horror that
terrifying.
Cop says. It's like, we can't escape it. And that, his belief, yes, don't worry, rationality in the machines.
Yeah.
But then his realization that is what rationality in the machines will bring to you is utter destruction. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Absolutely amazing.
And then it's, the girl, Tetsi, dies because she's like just overcome by
a heart burst, apparently.
A heart burst, and it's just, it is the most terrifying ending to anything I can imagine, really, because it's just like, you're fucked.
As story-wise, as tight as a drum, as we said, we could. I think we could probably have. We're aware that this is a two-parter, this episode, but I think we could have talked about this for another hour.
Yeah, probably.
And what we got out of it, and there's just so much good stuff. Just quickly, what I want to say is that the thing that I really appreciated about it, and I really love this in life anyway, is when you come across a story trope or a story mechanism. You watch something and you go, "Oh, that's a brilliant twist. That's really great." And then you carry on in life, and then you encounter its origin, the first time that it was used. And as I listened to this, I thought, well, I know that this is a modern redo. So when was this originally written? And finding out that this was written back in the 60s, I was like, wow.
I know.
So Nigel Neale came up with this first. He's the originator of this idea.
You can't really work out how clever his writing and imaginative brain was.
Because there was the series, which was really kind of, not enough people watched it, which was The Living and the Dead, the BBC series.
Oh, I loved that, James.
Which was amazing. Ross, you must have seen it. The main protagonist in it
was on.
Was the guy who was Merlin. In the, young
he
Merlin.
Had a really attractive red-headed wife in it.
And it was all set during sort of like the start of the Industrial Revolution.
Oh, but it was on BritBox. I might watch it.
It was two stories at once. But again, once again, what we're talking about here is that he keeps seeing someone in his house, and you're like, "Ooh, what is it? What is it?" And of course, it turns out it's his great-great-granddaughter today. And she's walking around with an iPad. So in the middle of the darkness, it's that spooky light, and it's like, and you realise, oh my God, if you were back and had never seen anything like that, that would look eerie and spooky.
Yeah, well, some people think that's what UFOs are actually
maybe.
Our future.
So, and at the time you go, that's such a brilliant idea, bravo. But then hearing that today, I was like, but this is the original version.
I can't believe that they didn't bring that back for a second season.
I can't.
They set up a second season and then they didn't do it. And we watched it at the same time as the first series of Stranger Things, and I thought it was about 1,000,000 times better
Correct.
than Stranger
Agreed.
Things.
Agreed.
It was so well done. It was beautifully shot. Everything worked.
Yeah.
It was really good. And they buried it summer 2016, 9:00 on a Wednesday night. And it was just like totally the wrong schedule for it. It was idiotic.
Yeah. Was it BBC?
Yeah.
BBC One,
Yeah, I think they often make amazing stuff, just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yes, The Road.
Right, so what do we think of The Road? Mark's out of
Magnificent. 5.
James, yeah.
5.
5.
I would... The first thing, the first thing that I would really say to people, and I will be saying to people, oh my God, have you heard this? Have you ever heard this? You've got to listen to this thing. It's brilliant. I said, I can find no fault with it.
In the cast, is there anything wrong with it? I said, no. So I can't not give it a 5.
There isn't... There just isn't any real fault with it.
It would have been interesting to see the TV version.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be very, very interested to see what that was like. Bearing in mind, what year was it? 63? I don't know what that would have looked like.
There's some pictures,
I know
aren't there? You have a look online.
Oh, is there really?
I think there's a couple of pictures of... Hang on, let me have a
Well, I said this the other day, didn't I? But it was a fan remake of it. So
I'm quite interested to see what this fan remake looks like, please.
Doesn't look great. But it looks like, I think they tried to film it like 1960s. It's really low res black and white. So
yeah. That's interesting.
But John, I think you need to make this. John, this could be your first.
Yeah. Oh, I'd absolutely love to expand upon this because you could make this into a brilliant 90-minute film, couldn't you?
Yeah.
But it's just you can't escape the ending, and that's the mad thing about this. It's a bit like Terminator or.
So, do you think the skeleton is a red herring, or do you think that?
Totally.
I think it is. I don't know what purpose the skeleton serves, other than to just kind of make you think.
Yeah, because he does say Mark Gatiss said it could be just anyone. Anything.
Yeah. It's what he wants you to think at the start is this is a
ghost,
past ghost, isn't it, rather than a future ghost. I'd love to know if anyone before this, I mean, I'm sure someone before this did future ghosts, but I don't know if anyone did it in just this absolutely smashes it.
The article that I read did say this was the first thing that did it.
Yeah.
Now, again, the provenance of the journalist, how well did he research it, etc., etc. So I was just taking that at face value. But
do some of the people from the future see them in it? Because I got the impression that they did.
I don't know. That would be really nice to, if you were to make this as a film, that kind of aspect of it would be really interesting to see.
And I think you could weave something into the fact that it was a nuclear bomb that went off.
Yeah.
Did something to time. You know, that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, we tried to keep that short. We actually did an hour on it. So
there we are.
Yeah.
I think is that officially our most popular thing though, regardless of me giving things like 11 and stuff?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Yes. I think so. I think we should, I think we should pass that as a motion that is our most favorite.
That's our favorite thing yet.
Okay.
And thank you for recommending it, John, because you said I would
You're welcome.
Ignorant.
Okay. Well, we can Jesus Christ.
What was that? What's just happened?
It was a couple of framed prints of Wonder Woman that just fell over. Oh, I'm thinking, do you see the lightning then?
No.
Right. I'm going to go.
This is weird because Ross is 30 miles away from me. It's nothing down here. There's no rain.
Oh, I can hear the thunder. Yeah, that's amazing.
Right, I'm going to go because I might have scared children now, so I need to look after
okay.
Are they your own children?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, this chair.
All right, we will reconvene.
All right, guys.
On that
part 2. Speak to you soon.
Nice one, guys. Bye.
See you.
Welcome back to part 2 of our Nigel Neale double bill. Beasts is a 1976 British television series. Written by Nigel Neale, it is an anthology of 6 self-contained episodes that feature the recurring theme of bestial horror. The series was made by ATV for the ITV network. We watched the most infamous of the series, episode 4, entitled Baby, starring Simon Manimal McCorkindale. More on that later. As a newlywed whose wife, played by Midsummer Murders' Jen
Is that what
Weinmark,
she's in, really? Good Lord.
daughter of Patrick Weinmark, as seen in The Witchfinder General,
yeah,
sees her pregnancy fall foul of ancient witchcraft.
Excellent.
I had to watch 4 times to actually work out what was actually happening.
Oh my God. Fucking hell, please.
Pretty straightforward.
Christ.
Yeah.
It's like, if there's one linear narrative, but in anything we've watched, it's this. It all happens in one room, virtually.
Pretty much.
I won't say, well, we'll talk about it at the end. But it's probably really obvious. But for me, it was like, I know what's happening. But then, there we go. So, this is, we've reconvened. For the listeners, this would be literally seconds.
Seamless.
Will it really? And how long has it been in real time?
Over a month, probably.
Wow. Is it really? It can't be. Yeah. That's a bit like, what's the film where they go onto that spaceship and the guy's been there for like 10 years
Interstellar.
waiting for them? Yeah.
This is like Interstellar.
Isn't that awful? I felt awful for that man. He'd been there waiting for them for like 12 years or something, hadn't he?
It was the fact that his old man makeup was so bad.
Was he in a dressing gown? I feel like he's in a dressing gown. Have I made that up?
Brilliant. I like the robots in that.
Yeah.
I can't.
They're like blocky robots. And they sort of
I don't know if I can remember robots.
Saw a really good film the other night. A spin-off of Interstellar called Stowaway. Have you seen Stowaway?
No.
So
is it about a stowaway?
It's about a mission to Mars.
Oh.
And they take off, and it's a spaceship which they're basically being slingshotted off towards Mars.
Yeah.
It's a 2-year mission. They can't.
Cleaver's had another tattoo.
Yeah, I have. You just noticed that.
Oh. Have you?
What is it?
It's
a ferret.
It's the Black Rabbit of Death from Watership Down.
Christ. Cheering.
Not a ferret.
Not a ferret, no. Or, yeah. Looks, yeah. Oh, it's okay. So basically, and then someone has got trapped on the ship, and then they realise that they've only got enough oxygen and supplies for the 3 people who are on there. So what do they do about having 4 people on the ship and they can't?
Oh, who's
really
in it, Cleves?
Some famous people. The woman who did the voice of one of the trolls, Anna Kendrick, is that her name, James?
Oh yeah.
The woman who played the mum in
My Family.
The woman who played the mum in
The Good Life.
Hereditary.
All right, I've never seen it.
Right.
Yeah, I can't remember what her name is. The
Muriel
guy
from
No. Oh, let's have a look it up. IMDb.
This is so professional.
So anyway, you are here to listen to Beast's Baby, dear audience. We're just having a tangential moment.
All right, Anna Kendrick, Daniel Day Kim, who played Jin in Lost, which is and Toni Collette.
Oh, really?
Toni Collette is bloody Muriel from Muriel's Wedding.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Sorry.
Oh, I've heard of her.
Yeah, it's very good. And it made
what did they decide to do in the end?
I'm not telling you. You have to watch it. Spoil it for our listeners.
That rubbish.
But it made me very ill and so anxious. And I said if I saw this at the cinema, I would have thrown up. Okay, let's go back to Beasts.
Back to Beasts.
So it starts with a crane shot and the sound of dubbed crows.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I really enjoy. So I've said always a favourite.
Mm-hmm.
I dub crows onto any video that I make, basically. So
in order in time with stenciled letters.
I was going to bring that up. That was amazing. So it's a man up a ladder who's the painter and decorator. And we know he's the painter and decorator because he's got a beret on.
Yeah.
Which he wears throughout the programme. He looks a bit like the famous portrait painter Augustus John, who also wore a hat like that, which I think is quite excellent. And then the other man that's in it with him at this point, like a workman.
The first shouty man.
Yeah, he's very familiar to me. And I think we've seen him in Dr. Fibeses, and he's also in Doctor Who and the Silurians, which I think is the only Doctor Who story which features the and the officially on screen.
Oh, okay.
Doctor Who and the Silurians is the actual title.
It's Doctor Who and the Auton. Oh no, that was Spearhead from Space, wasn't it?
The story. It's the story after Spearhead from Space.
Oh, okay, right. He's also in Straw Dogs as well. Apparently,
oh, is he? So yeah, his face is quite familiar to me. So they find a bird's nest, and this is Pavlov's bird's nest, isn't it?
Yeah,
is it Pavlov's gun?
Chekhov.
Yeah.
Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
Chekhov's dead egg, basically.
Pavlov's phaser. I find it very hard to say Pavlov. Pavlov's.
Well, don't say it because it's the wrong word. Just say it. So you don't need to say it. Chekhov.
Pavlov's.
Chekhov.
Oh, is it Chekhov?
Yeah.
Is it really Chekhov?
Yeah,
not
Chekhov.
Pavlov.
Yeah.
God.
So I was thinking of Pavel Chekhov.
I thought we've all gone insane. Right? I'm sorry, listeners. We don't know anything we're talking about this.
Is it not Pavlov?
No, it's Chekhov. Pavlov's dog is the one where he salivates.
He rings the bell and you salivate and you hear the sound.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Pavel Chekhov and his phaser.
Yeah, there we go.
Botany Bay. Botany Bay. Oh no. We've got to get out of here now. Damn.
What about the
Never
cardboard?
mind it. Hurry!
Chekhov, what's the matter with you?
So yeah, it's Chekhov's. So it's Chekhov's nest.
Yeah.
So it's like he finds a nest. There's eggs in it, and then for some reason, the one guy is incredibly annoyed that the eggs are like gone off, aren't they?
Yeah.
Or something.
Filthy, stinking adult!
And then chucks them at the floor. So, which is a bit of a weird.
So this is one of 2 points when I was thinking, how did they do this with continuity and stuff? So because I imagine it'd be quite hard to find wild bird eggs.
Well, they must have made them.
They were fake.
You reckon they were fake? Because then they break them and then just smash them for. Okay, all right. We'll come to my second.
They're probably the ones in the nest are probably just bloody Cadbury's eggs, aren't they? The ones you have at Easter.
Oh, okay.
Because of the the resolution they're filming at, no one can tell, can they?
Yeah.
And they're probably watching it in black and white as well, anyway, aren't they? At 1976.
So this is also the first instance of someone just get incredibly incensed, really shouting, angry, over fuck all.
I was astonished by the level of anger shown in this program. So I can't remember if it was about this one that we discussed it, but I have got ideas about why people shouted a lot in 70s TV.
Did you say
Stone Tape? We discussed
obviously we got.
to your wife, your pregnant wife.
So I've been watching on Talking Pictures. There's a thing that's always on called Rooms, which is about different rooms in like rented accommodation. It's very similar to this, and it's one set. It's different people coming in and out. It's very much like a vision mixed play. And I was reading a while ago about Sheila Delaney, and it's a biographer of Sheila Delaney and people that she was involved with in theatre up in Manchester in like the early 60s. And it was it was all the kitchen sink school and all this kind of thing that was coming through. And I think this is kind of like the tail end of all that kind of stuff happening in drama where emotions were all a bit more visible. But from 2022 eyes, this is like quite shocking, actually, isn't it?
No one talks to each other like this.
The way that particularly McCorkindale addresses his wife, I felt like hitting him.
Yeah.
Like as soon as he comes in, it's just like, mate, chill out. Like, what's wrong with you? So, and this guy, like the reaction to the nest is like crushes an egg, which I think in itself is quite a weird and sinister thing to do.
Yeah.
Then he chucks it on the floor and then he storms off.
Yeah, and as a go at the slightly slow man up on the ladder and stuff.
So it's very odd. And then we have the big letters spelling out beasts flying in. And as Cleaver has said, they're kind of dubbed over with a crow.
Yeah.
So as each letter comes in, it's like, rah, 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 which has got to be the best title music of anything ever, hasn't it? I'd actually forgotten that McCorkindale was in this. It's a very young and athletic-looking, unmustachioed McCorkindale.
Well, we see the wife first, don't we?
I was about to say, we see the wife,
yes.
And my notes were, ask John about the car.
Yeah, it's some kind of Mini, isn't it?
It's a Mini Clubman estate.
Yeah.
Because I've written that.
Covered in shit. And but also, okay, what's the link between this and Stone Tape?
It's a woman who can't drive at the start, or
in a...
Oh, in an Austin.
Oh, I thought she was in a Mini. Oh,
no, she's in a Maxi. She's in a Maxi and she's in a Maxi and can't get it in gear.
Okay.
On the Stone Tape. And that's because of the dreadful cable link gear change that early Maxis had.
Yeah, see previous episodes of more on
fascinating car.
Yeah, so everyone drives into this
like maniacs.
So fast,
actually, that is true. Everyone drives into this episode, don't they? So yeah, she drives in a Mini. He comes in a Land Rover.
She's got a cat in a basket, which has got the worst person doing the sound of it.
So it's basically a dubbed person, isn't it? Which is like
cats out of
James, isn't it? Very well.
Calm down now, it's all right. And you can stay in there till you behave. I'm going to tell on you. Shh. All right, Muddy, take it easy, be quiet.
Why they felt that they couldn't get some good cat sound effects from any
Charlie
says.
Well, no, I was going to say they're very similar to the cat sound effects that we heard at the end of Ghostwatch.
Yes.
With pipes. It's a similar sort of line, isn't it? So, yeah, but I've written down that the young married couple, I've just put pure Tories. They're just a couple of fucking Tories, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
As we know, American Werewolf in London, some of his victims, they're just a couple of absolute upper class tops.
Well, they've
moved out the city.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of dramas in the 70s are about this kind of thing. People leaving the city and starting a kind of country life. So I've written Sewing, Flouncy, and Laura Ashley World.
Yep.
Yes.
Which is a very 70s theme of like people getting back to nature and taking up making their own clothes and all this kind of rubbish.
It kind of implied that he couldn't take the life in the city.
Yes.
So she's from the country. Yeah.
Being a vet in the city.
Yeah, down budgies he was worried about.
Yes, so he's very angry about that, isn't he?
Yeah.
It was this place, you know. Being here. He didn't like it.
What, old mudslinger?
He was fine until I brought him inside.
In that case, let's sell up.
Oh, I simply said...
No, scrap everything. Go back to town just to please the cat.
Peter, listen.
No, you listen to me. I have just had a pretty good day. About the best day I've had for a very long time. I worked myself really hard, and everything was all right. No, it was more than all right, it was marvellous. I've been meeting worthwhile people and helping them, and it was needed, and I was needed, and then I come back to this stupid fuss.
All right, I'm sorry.
That's just what I've escaped from. Fuss. But constipated poodles, Scotties with overgrown toenails because they never went out, and hamsters and putting down sick old budgies.
It wasn't all like that.
Oh, yes, it was. Well, most of it.
So I've written posh people, and then she's on the phone to her father doing a very bad kind of, yes, father.
Oh, yes.
Yes, father.
Not giving him any time to reply to anything she said.
No. And then basically another element of Pavel Chekhov's is Pavel Chekhov's telephone conversation this time, because she says, yes, I'm sure it'll be all right this time, which is referring to her pregnancy.
So this is what I didn't get the first couple of times I watched it. That she'd lost a baby previously.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so essentially this whole thing's the fear of losing her baby again. So
the whole subtext of this is
So,
but it's like everything we've ever watched, I think, is the trope basically of someone is having a lived experience and then people aren't believing that experience because it's weird, isn't it? That's literally everything we've watched. How many episodes have we done? Did we say at the start?
27.
This is part 27.5.
Is this 27B?
Yeah.
Wow, we've got our own B now. That's good, isn't it?
Well, they're going to be released together, but if you were a Patreon, you would have heard the first part when we recorded it.
So
those two, Simon, basically.
And us.
That's great news. Yeah. So anyway, so at this point, she brings in a cat.
Yes.
So she brings in the cat in a weird wicker basket. You don't
Freaks
see
out.
the cat.
The cat has been on the train on its own, it sounds like. It's been sent in the...
I think that used to happen, because if you watch Hard Day's Night, there's a bit where they're in, where the bit where George Harrison meets his future wife, Patty, they're in like the guard's carriage where there's bikes and there's pigeons in, you know, like, what do they call those pigeons that go away and come back again?
Homing pigeons.
Homing pigeons. So there's all stuff like that. So I think, and this is another subtext of this is things you can't do on a train anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't deliver a cat on a train.
No, or send children.
Yeah.
Because I always used to see films about people sending kids,
children, yeah.
Like on planes or...
That's the start of Thingy, isn't it, with Patrick Troughton? Oh, what's it?
Box of Delights.
The wool, Box of Delights, yes. That's a kid on the train, isn't it, being sent somewhere?
I was on a plane coming back from Dubai where someone had sent a child on the plane. And she was watching Fast and the Furious, and I was thinking, I don't think you're old enough to watch that. But the
she's such a narc cross.
Yeah.
I don't think you're old enough to watch that. How old were you when you watched bloody Hellraiser? Meanwhile,
zoom of a man come up, turn into a wolf. Have you ever tried watching that as an adult? It makes no fucking sense.
No, I'd really like to, though.
Yeah.
So the cat eats the house, the cat runs away, and we never see the cat again, do we?
No, but the man who...
in fact, we never see the cat. Do we even see the cat?
No.
Briefly.
No,
when it jumps out of the basket.
Yes, you do, yeah.
So then at this point, I've written down, is it the same sound effects from the birds? Because the crow sound effects in this are very, very similar to the crow sound effects in the birds when the children run away from the
I've never seen
school.
The birds as an adult. I need to watch it.
Whoa. My something horrific later on is that I've now read the story of the birds.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, definitely.
So then we're in the kitchen and the two old tossers, because that's what they are basically, are knocking a wall down, and the other one isn't doing any fucking work at all. Lazy sod with his beret on. He's probably cycling around the countryside with a string of onions around his neck and some baguettes later on.
Yeah.
Because that's what he looks like. But then, then they're knocking out a hole in the wall, and then they're like, "Oh, it's 3:30 now. It's time to go home.
It's time to knock off,
madam. It's time to knock off." And it's like, "You lazy bastard! You haven't done anything all day. It's like crush a bird's nest." And then is this when Simon McCorkindale comes home and just starts shouting for no reason?
Yeah,
he said, "Well, right." What I point
There's some
out
pent up emotion from James. Yeah.
No, not at all. But here's what my notes are. Is I put down that, you know, as you said, he's a young and very vibrant vet, and I put he's got Lego hair.
Yeah,
his hair looks like Lego, right? And what I put is my immediate thought was: is he the Noel Fitzpatrick of the late 70s? Noel Fitzpatrick, right? Now, and that got me thinking, right? So two things. Noel Fitzpatrick, for our non-UK viewers, is a man known as the Super Vet. And he has a TV show where
I think Hell's obsessed with this guy, yes.
He basically saves animals in distress and gives them like bionic legs and things like that. It's mental. People love him. But then the two mad things of this is that, number one, he's doing a live tour.
Right.
It's like the Super Vet live. Wow. And it's like, what, is he going to do operations live on stage? like a faith healer? Is it, bring me your cats, I'm going to heal them. Right? But I thought, or is it just going to be him giving you anecdotes about being a vet?
Yeah.
Which I thought was very much...
Would I nailed the wheel to a tortoise?
And I didn't know if you two knew this. So, you know, I thought you would have known who he was.
No.
Interestingly enough, he is the person that the song Toxic is written about.
What the fuck?
Britney Spears Toxic?
Yes!
Why?
Yes, right, because that song, brace yourselves, that song was written by Kathy Dennis. It was the late 80s middling pop star Kathy Dennis, who became a songwriter in the 90s.
Outrageously attractive woman as well.
There you are. Right, so she became a songwriter, And she was going out with Noel Fitzpatrick at the time.
No
and
way.
wrote Toxic about him, yes. So whenever you hear Toxic by Britney Spears, it's about the super vet Noel Fitzpatrick.
The age-old joke, though, is also, does Patrick Fitz Noel?
Maybe that's what you find out when you see him live. So in many ways, so like I said, so our McCorkindale, who, as we said in the outset, is, for us, for men of our age, he is Manimal.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I learned that, like, Manimal only really ran for one series, it's like Mr. Ben, isn't it? Like, there's only 12
when that hand went like
Mr.
this.
Ben. Yeah, that's right. Claw. Turned into a jaguar.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Puma.
Yeah.
Speed of the Puma, that's something else.
I just get that's Brave Star.
For me,
Mammal and Automan sort of.
Well, I was going to say it occupies the same mental space as Street Hawk.
Street Hawk, yeah. Street Hawk.
Airwolf.
You got it.
A-Team is a little bit earlier, maybe.
Yeah, because it was on earlier in the day.
But A-Team doesn't have the same, got the same gimmick.
Knights.
No. Well, Knight Rider.
So
I think Knight Rider would be the precursor, wouldn't it? And then the others were like... Yeah. Simon McCorkindale is also the nominal kind of pin-up hero of Quatermass 4.
Yes.
Which is also by Nigel Neale. Yeah. Which
Very
I think
sad.
he's got... I think he's got the tash in. Does he? Yes. He dies in that, doesn't he?
No,
does his whole family die in that?
All his family die, and all the way through I was thinking, you didn't actually see them die, they're going to come back. They're going to come back.
They don't, do they?
They don't know. Everyone else, then everyone dies. So it's like,
that's an amazingly miserable series. We'll do it one day, but it's very long.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. The space.
Maybe we should try and do a live watch of it, but just drunk or something.
Yeah. I'll do that.
I'll be up for that.
So anyway, Simon McCorkindale comes in, flies off the handle, as I've written here, for no good reason. What a knob. He's very odd.
Yes.
But I guess he's upset about her worrying about the cat.
Yeah. Oh, for Christ's sakes! Why are you so worried about the cat?
Yeah.
Let's go back to London!
Yeah.
Let's go back to London now!
Let's move out!
Well, he starts trying to make her drink booze, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Do you want a drink? Do you want a drink? You can have a drink. It's safe at this stage. Have a fucking drink. What mess it up? You're 6 months pregnant.
But then he just goes into, oh, such a wonderful day. Oh, it's just going on about how much he loves Dick.
He's a real vet. He's going to take care of real animals.
We need to get whiskey.
I love these canaries.
I like these big animals.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very strange.
Yeah, so basically he's working with another vet called Dick, who he loves.
Yes.
And he
loves Dick.
He just loves being in
I've got to say it.
He does really love being around Dick, though, doesn't he?
Dick does some malage in this story, doesn't he?
So, what we then get is the one bit of folk horror, isn't it? Is that they decide that because our two peasanty older workmen have knocked off early, McCorkindale decides he's going to carry on knocking down the wall that they need in order to get a freezer.
Yeah. It's all part of this sort of frenzy of energy he's come home with.
Yeah.
He just
he's done a couple of lines of
bizarre.
coke.
He's got a polo neck on underneath his jacket, and then he's
done a couple of lines of coke off the back of a Frisian cow. Come on!
But this is the bit.
Anything like this these days would be he's either on drugs or he's bipolar, and then that would be the story, wouldn't it? The next scene would be him sat in a chair crying, talking about his dead grandmother or something.
The next day, he's fucking depressed about Dick. Like, he loves Dick one day, he can't stand Dick the next. But this is my other thing, art department thing. That they could only do that, smashing that wall down in one take, because that's proper plaster and bricks.
It looks legit.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I've said, is that it kind of happens in real time.
Yeah.
With vision mixing, and therefore it's really fucking slow.
You have to
watch trying to knock this wall down, and it's like, it's actual real bricks.
Yeah. And there's a couple of weird shots to her point of view, which I think maybe those are cuts.
There might be cuts, but it's very strangely done. The bricks look very new and the dust looks very new. And I was thinking, if a house was meant to be 400 years old, it wouldn't be bricked. It would be stone.
As John knows, when John's banister fell off, that it would all be coal dust, wouldn't it, John?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works in the Valley Street.
That's cool. But yeah, so they find a
horror
void.
tradition. They find something buried from long ago within the building. And it's an urn, isn't it? And then there's one of the weirdest bits in it that they decide that they're going to open it up. And it's covered with wax or tallow. Isn't it?
There's a great sound effect as they're scraping that up.
Yes, that's what I said. There's a kind of live dubbed sound effect, isn't there?
Yes.
Where it's like,
and when they open it, they go, "Oh, the smell is dreadful."
smell.
And I've written, maybe do this outside. It's like, maybe it's if it's something smells that bad, just get it outside straight away. That's my practical note for this.
Don't then pull it out and start prodding it.
Prodding it.
And the thing is, it wouldn't smell, would it? It's mummified. It's desiccated. It wouldn't smell of anything.
It's a smell of evil.
That's what it smells of.
So yes. They pull this out, and then they start
weird,
prodding it. And he's like, is it a lamb? Is it a cat?
teeth.
Is it a dog? Is it a monkey? Is it a... So, but then he says, it's not been born.
Yeah. He's a vet, isn't he?
He's a vet. So at this point, I was trying to work out, are they somehow trying to imply that this has somehow been born with an E on the end by a woman rather than an animal, and it's some kind of chimera or like...
They kind of joke it's two animals who should have mated that made it. Also.
Yeah.
But I think he's kind of implying that
it should have known better.
It was stillborn.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But I thought the implication was that it was carried by a human rather than an animal, because they can't work out what the animal is, can they? But they say about it...
For them to make it that point.
Yes.
You might be right, John. But,
well, because they talk about having a second set of teeth.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a human trait rather than other animals. I'm not a mammal expert. But anyway, so it's a horrible looking... It's actually a very good prop, isn't it? I don't know if it was made. I don't know if it's something they bought from... the production team bought. But it looks very good. Then all I've got then is shouting about burning. So what happens next? She tries to burn it the next day. Is that right?
Yeah.
The two peasants have a look at it, and they go, "Oh, this ain't right. This ain't right. We need to get rid of this."
I think so one of them basically just says that there would have been wise men or wise people who would have used this to curse someone in that house. And so in which case she freaks out and then goes to try and chuck it on the bonfire. At which point
McCorky Down roars in again in his car, driving at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
What are you doing, woman?
Yeah, screaming.
That's what I wrote
face.
down. Why did you do that? The wine goes on for about an hour.
Grabs it out of the fire. Yeah.
Yes.
And he declares, "I wanted to show it to Dick."
This is why no character for the last 30 or 40 years in British TV has been called Dick anymore.
And in answer to why did you do that? Why? The answer is basically because a couple of peasants told me to do it.
Yeah.
Also, I don't want a decomposing chimera baby in my kitchen.
It's fucking horrible. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Dick would love this.
Yeah.
So then I've written weird conviviality, but I don't know which part I was talking about.
Right.
Is this T.P. McKenna?
Yes.
T.P. McKenna in this is like telephoning his performance in, isn't he? It's like he's in another room or something.
He is like the absolute caricature of a jovial Irishman, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
Come on!
What have you found? It's like a monkey.
But then stopping him so well to belittle and patronise the woman who shouts in his face. Yeah. This is like her husband's boss. And she just screams in his face.
Once again, I put down it's a very similar setup to the Stone Tape again, in which a willowy blonde woman feels a bit, like, as John says, is going through some sort of psychological event, and everyone is just belittling her.
It's obvious that later on, the implication is that basically you're mad because you're a pregnant woman.
Yeah.
It's just...
When you're mad because you're a woman, you're doubly mad because you're pregnant.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, don't you remember you did this last time? Last time. And she's like, it was different last time. And it's like, you're only pregnant, love. It's like, you're not mad. Like the one who's mad is Simon McCorkindale in this. Because he's obsessed with this mummified creature.
Yeah.
And all he does is shout all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, he turns up, T.P. McKenna. And then I've written about the land and the idea that the land around this house is somehow wrong.
Yes.
But I can't remember who said that. Did he say that?
They're talking about the people who used to live there.
Yes, that's right. And
tried to breed Alsatians, but the Alsatians kept dying.
Yeah.
And then they were talking about the land. Then all the cows were miscarrying as well.
Yeah.
And
so
then she's getting upset that it might be something contagious. So that's where she starts screaming at him. And she goes, no, don't be stupid, because it's just, unless you drank the milk, but there's no cows here anymore, you're probably not going to catch this. So that there's like, there's history on this place about things do not go to full term.
Yes, which is a very Nigel Neale concept, where there's something in the land, inherent in the land, that's this like hangover of. Which is great. I absolutely love ideas like this, and I wish every TV show had that idea in it. There's something in Albert Square that's buried evil. There'd be something in Coronation Street that's buried evil. Emmerdale Farm would be a great one. Hollyoaks, buried evil.
I think Hollyoaks have actually done that.
Have they really?
Well, they've had people come back from the dead, haven't they?
But didn't they have some kind of thing in Coronation Street where a sinkhole opened up and people fell down into like holes under the ground?
I don't remember that. I mean, that would explain the aeroplane crash in Emmerdale, wouldn't it? That it's like the plane was drawn to this vortex of evil that's under the Woolpack.
Well, it'd be good if they realised like all this horrible shit happens in this one like place.
Yes.
And it's not like that everywhere else, and they realise it's because it's cursed, and they just have to do it. The last episode is a mass exorcism, and then life just goes across lovely, and everyone just has a normal life.
Well, that's like the end of Quatermass and the Pit. A little bit. So anyway, so where are we?
That's right. So, she apologises to the boss.
Who's not that drunk yet at this point.
He's not drunk at all at this point. I don't think, is he?
No.
Or at the end of the evening, he says, well, don't worry about it, my dear. You're beautifully in the club. Which I thought is something I've never heard. I've heard people say, you're in the club if you're, but I've never heard anyone say you're beautifully
in the club.
Well, maybe if you can get to that level of patronisation, you could maybe say that one.
Say whatever you like.
I would just say that he's a creepy bastard in this.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's also in Straw Dogs, and I think he gets shot in Straw Dogs. But he's also in Greatest Show in the Galaxy, Sylvester McCoy era, which is a very good.
That's James's memory of Sylvester McCoy.
Being terrified.
Adrian Mole
in that.
Yeah. Maybe we should watch. Maybe that's one. Another Who we should revisit.
Yeah,
because that's a good horror one with the clowns and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I'd like to watch a McCoy, and that's got the bus conductor.
We should do Curse the Fenric if we're going to do.
Maybe we should do a few McCoy ones. Curse the Fenric is absolutely brilliant, isn't it?
Well, we can do the movie version of that.
Oh yeah, do you remember that they edited that?
Yeah,
onto VHS.
Well, okay. Do you want to do that next?
Maybe.
Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it at the end.
So anyway, so T.P. McKenna goes. Then she's having a cup of tea with the two workmen, isn't she? Sat at the table.
Also, we should point out that basically McCorkindale, rather than throwing away the chimera, whatever it is, decides to hide it in the nursery of his unborn child, which I thought was a weird...
in the lockable cupboard, which everyone has to have a lockable cupboard in their nursery.
Yes. So this is where, for me... I can see I've made this no-no. Puts it in a new baby room with 3 exclamation marks. Yeah. That is the stupidest idea in the...
It is mental.
But I think it lets down the play as well, because it's just like, why would you put it in the coal house or something, wouldn't you? You wouldn't put it in your new baby's room that isn't born yet.
Yeah.
And it's a bit too obvious, I think.
It's worth pointing out that when we see external shot. That place is massive. There's
It is
so
a big
many
house.
places you can put it.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got loads of... I'm struggling to think where I'm going to put this. Well, you know where I'll put it? I'll put it next to the new baby's cot. In a lockable cupboard.
Yeah. So just what you said about Pacific in the cot, I thought I'd seen this before from the descriptions of it.
Okay.
But the thing I seen was completely different. The thing I saw was it was like someone in a house and you kept seeing these red glowing eyes like in like the shed or looking out, and then they went out there and they found glass jars with like mummified remains inside it.
That sounds good.
Does that ring any bells to anyone?
No.
Okay. Any of our listener, if you know what I'm talking about, could you get in touch? Because I thought that's what this was going to be, but it's not.
When you mention the red glowing eyes, that reminds me of Stone Tape when you see... Yeah.
See, that, just you saying that creeped me out. So that just, again, shows why Stone Tape is out up in the top 3 of our all-time best.
For all-time best ever. So then she sits at the table, talks to the 2 local yokels. There's a bit where she shouts, "No!" in one of their faces really loud. It's just... I feel everyone is on the verge of a breakdown.
Have you seen any of the other beasts yet?
I've seen them all.
About that at the end.
I've seen the Pauline Quirk one.
Because the description of them are insane.
Yeah, the Pauline Quirk was lots of people screaming in Pauline Quirk's face.
I've got the DVD, and I submitted friends to it. And we were trying to work out tonight. I think it was about 2008 that James had to watch it with his then girlfriend, and I thought, that must have been a fun night in our house for me to make them watch Nigel Neale teleplays from 1976.
6 hours of them.
This one's good. It's about Pauline Quirk being chased by a poltergeist.
Yeah, in a supermarket.
Called, what's it called? Buddy or something like that. Yeah.
This one's about Robert Powell turning into a dolphin. I read the description. I was like, it turns into a dolphin.
Yeah, I want to watch that one.
There's a good one. I'm trying to think. What are the other ones, James?
I just had a look. In my old research for it.
Yes.
Hang on.
So Pauline Quirk's in a supermarket and things fly off the shelves and stuff. That's very weird.
Yeah, some good practical effects in that one.
It's much more like a feature length Tales of the
Goes off
Unexpected,
for fucking
though,
ages.
It's too long.
Okay,
too long.
Here are your episodes, and for everyone else's delectation. Right. Okay. Episode number 1, Special Offer. Pauline Quirk stars as a shop assistant whose unrequited love for her manager prompts a paranormal revenge.
Oh, yes.
Why? Episode 2, During Barty's Party. Starring Anthony Bates, a middle-class couple's life becomes overturned by rats.
Yeah. That one's terrifying.
You never see the rats, do you?
You don't see the rats.
Oh, my God. It's the General Witchfinders rats link.
Yeah, well, if previous listeners remember my story about having nightmares about rats invading the football grounds in Italia 90, then
this is where it came from.
That is a sentence I just said. That's the kind of thing that still gives me the willies now.
And then this is the one, episode 3, Buddy Boy, featuring Martin Shaw of The Professionals fame, no less. And a disused aquarium haunted by the spirit of a dolphin.
Oh, maybe I do remember that one now.
And
I'm going to have to rewatch these.
I've then got confused. I did. He's not turning into a dolphin. I'm sorry, listener. Right, but what it says is that after Baby, there was What Big Eyes, and this features Michael Kitchen as an RSPCA inspector investigating a man, Patrick McGee, who is trying to turn himself into a wolf.
Whoa! I don't know if I remember that at all.
Can you imagine anything on television now having any of this?
Not even remote. No. The only thing that's anything remotely like this now is Inside Number 9.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. Yeah. Genre writing isn't on TV anymore, is it really?
No.
And then the last one was The Dummy, which shows the psychological effects on an actor, Bernard Horsfall, who regularly plays a monster in horror films.
That's a very good one. And Bernard Horsfall is also in TV's Doctor Who, The Deadly Assassin, which is one of Tom Baker's greatest stories. Much loved by Mary Whitehouse for the drowning sequence at the end of episode. Oh, so basically, at the end of this conversation, she gets a bit uppity again, like everyone in this teleplay. Goes to look for the cat. Goes to a pool.
Yeah.
Sees what she thinks is the cat, and is it a bit of wood or something?
It's something dead.
You can't figure out what it is.
It's something dead, but it's not the cat. But then the really creepy bit is this kind of horrible, imposing shadow that falls over the scene, and the really horrible sound effects, which are like, bah, bah, bah. And I'd totally forgotten this, and it really gave me the willies today.
Wow. I couldn't work out, is she seeing something at that point? Because I couldn't work out. What does she see? Is it just a shadow, or did she see the thing?
It's just the
it's
shadow.
Implied, isn't it? You can't really... Yeah, but it's really effective, and I was surprised how effective it was. Yeah.
And then that's the ad break.
Considering so much of it is very theatrical and a bit like a vision mixed play, that part really is suddenly, it's like, because the first part in terms of this was on commercial television and there's an ad break stop. The first part, there's no real horror in, is there? And then the second episode, it's just like, let's throw the fucking kitchen sink in.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's loads of horror then. Yeah. And it's really, it's not scary, but it's like, oh, bloody hell.
And this is where Mammal comes back from work covered in pig shit.
Covered in shit.
He's fallen in shit. And, it's understandable that he's livid.
Again.
That he's livid at being covered in pig shit, although you would think, you're a vet, occupational hazards in the countryside. But the main reason why he's so mad is because Dick was laughing at me the whole time. And his fragile ego, his Tory ego, cannot handle this.
Chucks his clothes at his wife, stick them in disinfectant, but they're probably ruined. I'm having
Deal
a
with
bath.
this.
I'm leaving.
There's something slightly weird about his obsession with Dick, isn't there? Like, it's a bit like, oh, Dick's laughing at me. And it's like, don't worry, you're not in love with Dick.
I think,
or are you?
Yeah, I think he's desperate for Dick's approval.
How many of these can we bring out? How many Dicks can we bring out here?
So, I've written about her life at this point. It just looks quite an austere and joyless life. She's in this house all day on her own. There's no radio you ever hear. There's no
television,
TV.
no. Yeah, you see her like in bed reading, don't you?
Yeah, it's very similar to... Have we watched Stigma? I can't remember if we've watched Stigma. We should watch Stigma, because that's a really good one. Set in Avebury. It's one of the story.
We can have that for Christmas. Yeah, we do that at Christmas.
Yeah. So that's quite a similar thing in a way. But again, it's that 70s thing of... There's so many dramas about women being isolated in the countryside, and all they've got is this kind of almost Victorian life of like knitting or sewing and being told, oh, you're a stupid woman because you're pregnant. It's like, this was made in the 70s, and it's more like the 1870s, isn't it? It's surprising what is just now to us looks stupid.
Yeah.
And passes off as being like a pertinent part of the story. I mean, it kind of works within the story because, she's worried about the pregnancy, but I think there's better ways of going around rather than just shouting in her face for like a 50-minute
but
play.
This point, I think she sees like, oh, we are going to be able to leave. Because he hates it. And
he wants to.
And there's another job which he turned down to come here, but he said there's still an opportunity there while he's in the bath that he might be able to take this. So she's like, brilliant.
Yes.
There's a way out.
I can get out. Yeah.
He's straight out. He's just had enough.
Yes.
As well. He's just like, I'm going.
But then, what comes up? Dick. Yeah. Dick comes.
Dick comes like a bad penny.
Yeah.
And, but.
With Mrs. Dick.
Yeah.
Mrs. Dick. So within all this as well, I think at one point you see the chair rocking, don't you?
Yes.
You see the urn turns up again.
Oh, yes.
And then you also have Dick. Dick invites himself in.
Yeah.
And his wife is extremely posh and almost she's almost a comedic character, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's very Hyacinth Bouquet. For our regular keeping up appearances.
Yeah. I wish she'd been in earlier.
Yeah.
Because I think she's a very good character. So all she says is, don't worry. Don't worry to the woman.
One thing I did like about, because at this point, Dick talks, what is Mamamall's name in this? Anyone know?
Oh, no.
Anyway, Dick talks to Mamamall.
Charles.
Round to staying. So she's like, I've missed my chance. Yeah. And basically they all get really drunk. And I thought,
well, she doesn't.
No, she doesn't, because she's pregnant. But I thought this is a really good mechanism to have someone who can't drink because they're pregnant. Be surrounded by piss people who just are not listening to her at all.
Well, they're just grotesque, aren't they?
And they are horrible, grotesque. And this is the point where things are getting hyping up.
Yes.
She thinks she sees the woman walk into another room,
which is really effective.
But then she's in somewhere else. So going through there. And she said, "Can you hear?" And she can hear noises, but the piss people are just like looking at her and then just talking about something else.
Yeah.
It's
at
really
one
good.
point, he says, "Invite them over for dinner. Is it fish thing?" And she says, "I never made it. I hate fish. That was your first wife."
Yeah,
which I thought was fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
it's an amazing put down. And he's like, "You're right. It was my first wife." And it's like, what happened to his first wife? Like, did he kill her?
Yeah, so that's what's in the urn. It's got shrunken down. And then they leave, go to leave, and there's a whole thing about drunk driving, which is just made out to be a big joke.
It was the 70s. He's not going to get breathalyzed. But what you don't see them leave, all you have is a dubbed sound of a car and Simon McCorkindale waving.
Yeah.
Which, again, is just it's just like a play, isn't it?
And doing like a...
doing a really bad kind of drunk acting.
Yeah.
And then, so they go to bed, and we're nearly at our denouement, where he's snoring. She hears noises downstairs. She gets up to have a look around. And then, how do we describe what happens?
It's like the master out of, but the master is all burnt.
Deadly Assassin.
Deadly Assassin, yeah.
Right.
Breastfeeding some pig.
Yes.
Go on, James.
Right, so she goes downstairs and goes, and just starts going absolutely mad. And then the horror cut is, as you know, and for the benefit of people like myself who have not seen the amount of Doctor Who that these two have, it's like a very leathery face, but it's almost like a mask.
Yeah.
It's so weird, and I've never. It looks so shit.
Yeah,
because it looks like a sock puppet.
It is the sort of thing
painted
you have
on
in your
eyes.
nightmares. It is,
but it's so effectively horrible that the sound effects are horrible, and then you've got the pig thing is alive and it's being suckled.
Yeah,
and it's just like
you can hear it sucking.
You can hear it sucking, and the noise.
The witch, the witch isn't saying anything.
No,
its mouth is flapping.
Just the mouth is flapping.
It looks like the body in the bog, doesn't it? Do you remember the body in the bog?
Yeah. Like it's toothless mouth, and it's just disgusting.
And she just goes,
drops to the floor,
to her knees,
and obviously miscarries at that point.
Yeah. Presumably,
but you don't see that.
But
no.
But it's one of those things which I like. And the other example of this I can think of is in the M. Night Shyamalan films, Signs, where you see something which you think is going to be a jump scare, and then it stays on screen for a little bit too long.
Yeah,
and it's staying there longer for you, and it's almost like you're expecting it to go, so you're stuck in that shock, and then you're like, I can't take this in properly because it's on the screen.
It's such a horrible, but I would prefer this practical effect over any kind of CGI effect that look really photorealistic.
Yeah,
because there's something really clumsy and horrible and awkward about the thing.
Yeah.
It's just horrible.
But they cut back and it's not there anymore. So I think the implication is all of this in her head.
Well, yes, I think that's the final. Yeah. That's the final. But you never find out, do you? Because then the titles roll.
Yeah, and the next up is Dolphins.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the power, the notoriety of this thing is probably all down to that 30 seconds.
Yes,
at the end.
Definitely.
Of that,
Yeah. Yeah. So, scores on the doors?
3.5, maybe. What do you think, James?
In comparison to it, now I've spent the most of the last month just telling people how amazing The Road was.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking about it and what a clever and tight piece of it. This, to me, feels like, as we said, it's a number of the usual Nigel Neale things that you see in Stone Tape and things such as that. And, you know, the folk horror thing of there's something buried underneath from the past and it's coming back and imposing on us now in the present day. But it did just feel, because of it being half an hour long, just like a sketch featuring lots of ridiculous shouting. So for me, it was a 2.
They are interesting.
In comparison to The Road, it felt
Well, yeah, I think watching it after The Road was.
But it'd be interesting to see if we had watched The Road rather than listened to it, which I imagine probably would have had a lot of the same style of acting. Would we have liked it as well?
Exactly. Very good point. Very good point. I will probably give it 3.5.
Yeah, same as me.
It's not as strong as I remember, but it's still quite effective in lots of places. But compared to Stone Tape and The Road, isn't it interesting that our two kind of top scoring things are both Nigel Neale things?
Yeah.
So yeah, but when you're comparing anything to the two of the most famous pieces of like TV horror in British kind of TV history, but I think it's probably the best out of the Beasts strand.
Yeah, I will go back and watch the rest of them. Like I said, the Pauline Quirk one was good, but it went on a bit too long. And
they're just too long. 50 minutes is an awkward length, isn't it? Really, to kind of, because it's not feature length, so you can't kind of elaborate. But also, it's slightly too long for, you know, for something that's got a good reveal, like a kind of Tales of the Unexpected or Inside Number 9. You know.
And I think maybe because we've seen a lot, this is almost like the attitude towards women and some of the characters are very similar to what we've already seen in the Stone Tape. It's almost like, you know, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean it's less pertinent. So there we go.
Well, they're just similar tropes. I mean, he obviously wrote them potentially like 5 years apart or something, didn't he?
Yeah.
So,
and also, that's what the world was fucking like in the 70s.
Well, yeah, exactly. To be fair, like, I think the writing in this kind of makes, and in Stone Tape, the writing points to the fact that these kind of, the way that the world was then is idiotic and wrong.
Yeah.
You know, Simon McCorkindale and what's his name, Peter Bryant in the Stone Tape.
Oh, sorry.
They're not the goodies, are they? The women are the goodies, and it's the point that the women aren't being listened to, which is the kind of downfall of both women in the stories. Really, the men are failing to help them because they're patronising them, which is quite a nuanced, you know, way of exploring stuff like that.
Cool. Well, there we are. Well, that ends our double bill of Nigel Neale.
Yes.
It's the 100th anniversary. Just
God
to say,
bless him.
Excellent. There's an excellent article in 14 Times, issue before last, all about Nigel Neale. Did you read any of that with the pictures I sent you, or was it hard to?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's really good. And to say, I never realised he was married to Judith Kerr, who is famous for Tiger Came to Tea.
I don't think I realised that either.
And it's just incredible that in this article they interview their children who said that their offices were just being left after they died because
no way.
And Judith Kerr's all her paintbrushes and pencils all ready for her next illustration. Wow. All his stuff was just left how it was. But when they had to sell the house, because they said it felt like they was still alive if they left their stuff.
Yeah.
And when they moved it, I don't know if you read this article, John. Nigel Neale was also an amateur photographer, and they found loads of like slides of pictures he'd taken on set of all the films and stuff, which they didn't know, no one knew existed. So
amazing!
Those are shots from like Quatermass and stuff.
Oh, I hope they digitise those.
Yeah,
so that'd be amazing.
There's some of them in 14 times, so it's that was really exciting to see. But yeah, lovely. Two very. I've read Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit 2. My daughter, which is Judith Kerr's kind of quasi autobiography about her fleeing Germany. And it's an excellent book, and it's just, you feel like two influential, of the 70s, two big influential people who I didn't realise, hit my life from two different points, were actually married, which is it's great. So lovely. So I'm sure that won't be the last Nigel Neale we do. If this podcast carries on. So that's good.
So something horrific?
Yeah, so something horrific. If anyone read, watched, consumed in any way anything horrific since we last convened?
Well, as I mentioned, I've been reading Daphne du Maurier's weird fiction, and the most pertinent one, there's a really awful one called it's something about a mountain, people living on a mountain. It was really long, and then the ending was rubbish. But I read her short story of the birds, which obviously inspired the film. Very, very effective short story. Doesn't have a great deal to do with the film. It's set in Cornwall, set on a farm. It's very, very spooky, and it's in a kind of it's more in the same kind of breath as the Triffids, Dare the Triffids, or
Midwich Cuckoos,
a bit like Midwich Cuckoos, or like The Death of Grass. So it's like a kind of what nature is turning against us kind of thing. And it's really effective. And
all right,
I don't know if I prefer it to the film in some ways, because it's got that British kind of setting. It's really short. It's quite brutal in it, in the way it is, and you're just kind of left hanging. So
right, I'm going to read that.
It's not like the ending of the film of The Birds, which is kind of slightly optimistic. It's just a bit like, are we all fucked, basically? Because the BBC goes off air, there's no help, there's no police, there's nothing, because the birds have just like killed everyone. It's really effective, So I think that's good.
It's weird to think the BBC probably will go off the air in our lifetime. if you think like how much stuff is going on to digital now, they will probably turn off the BBC.
Turn off the signal.
Within our
if Nadine Dorries getaways, we'll all be watching Netflix.
Fucking hell.
The news on Netflix, isn't it?
That is weird to think, though. Well, the FM signal will go off in the next couple of years. So,
you reckon?
It's part of what they're doing.
And medium wave as well, probably, is it?
Yeah.
I bloody love medium wave. You can't beat the sound quality of medium wave.
Yeah.
Mono.
Yeah. It's almost as good as the quality of our podcast.
Have you two got anything?
Yes. Ross, you first.
I watched a film last night, which John will never watch, called The Witch in the Window, which is
It was made last year in Romania.
Yeah, it was. It's on Shudder. It's American. But we was flicking through, and I said every single one of film in here is the same synopsis, just like written slightly different. Everyone is moving into a house, and there's something in that house.
You don't say Cleves.
But however, this one, I would say it was actually quite moving and quite sweet, because it was about the relationship with an estranged father who takes the boy to help him do up a house which he's bought. And there was a bit in it which often I see twists coming, and I was like, something was happening in this when I was like, something doesn't feel right about this scene, but I don't know what it is. And when the twist happened, okay, I'm going to say you guys aren't going to watch it.
Sounds almost quite watchable.
Yeah, it was really good, but I've ruined it. I've ruined any aspect of it. But that was really good.
Yes. James, what's your one?
Right, well, mine is I have been watching a series called Yellow Jackets.
Oh, I've heard of this. What is it?
I see. It came up.
Is it Heidi High, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Right, so it is set. It's intriguing in that it is set over two different time periods. It's set in the 1990s, so it's right up our route straight away, and it's also set in the present day. And what has happened is this girl's soccer.
Sorry, I'm already just thinking it's set in the 50s in a holiday camp.
They camp. With Simon Cadell and Paul Shane, Ruth Maddox.
You've lost that love feeling.
Incredible that footage.
Jeffrey can't hear you. Heidi High.
Right, so this American girls football team are going to go and play in their national finals in the 1990s, and their plane crashes in the Canadian wilderness. Now,
Can I just say that Cleaver looks like a far-right shock jock? What is it, InfoWars or something?
Yeah, Alex Jones.
A listener, you can't see this. He sat with his microphone set up, his cans on.
Right.
Oh, can't hear John.
Oh, John's gone.
John's gone. John, can't hear you.
Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, he's back.
Yeah.
I missed all that insult, so that's good.
Don't worry, it'll be recorded.
That's right. So back in the 1990s, this girls' football team, their plane crashes in the Canadian wilderness, and in the same way that we've seen, like British folk horror, the horror is always the horror is buried underneath you because the horror is us. Whereas with America, the horror is often in the wilderness. It's just so vast
it's always
and
trees
out there. Right.
Yeah.
So in the 1990s, they are basically, it goes Lord of the Flies. They're not being rescued, and they just tease you early on that there's something out there. There's something out there, like something has been marking the trees with very kind of horror style, kind of witch,
Blair Witch,
Blair Witch style things. And we've seen from the opening scene that they really weird out. Like they've got furs on and they're killing each other, and they've gone cannibal.
Cool.
So it's like, how do they get there?
That's weird, isn't it?
Whilst meanwhile, in the present day, three of them. So we figure out who three of them are, and they're like, we can't tell people what went on. And one of them is running for office and desperately trying to sort of keep a lid on the other two. But there's kind of, all of a sudden, they've started to receive postcards with this same kind of satanic Blair Witch style messages on it. So on one hand, it's the, why did they all go feral? What's in the woods? Versus as well, what on earth is going on in the present day?
This looks brilliant, James. What is it on?
It is currently on in Great Britain. You have to basically have Now TV or Sky Atlantic. So that's Now TV.
Another bloody thing to stream.
But the thing was, this is how I do, because I bloody hate Rupert Murdoch and all the rest of it. What I do is, a while back, I had a Brief Now subscription. You cancel it. And then what you find they do is roughly every 6 months, they send you an email going, oh, please come back to us. Have Now TV for £2 for 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So, and then what you can do is you just binge through everything that's come out over the last few months.
And then cancel it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Or just start a new email address. That's what I'll probably do.
All that. But anyway, so I am 4 episodes in and I'm absolutely loving it.
Okay.
Horror-y tinge, the 90s, the two different narratives, and how they're keeping them separate but having them play into each other. Brilliant.
James, what is the name of the thing by the people who made Dark, which is coming on?
18 something, isn't it? Hold on, I sent it to you, Ross.
18 Till I Die by Bryan Adams.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Right. Okay. It is called 1899.
That looks really good. 1899.
And it looks superb.
That's the price that all DVDs used to be, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So next time we've got a choice, because originally, if I go to my spreadsheet,
go to your spreadsheet, please.
We were going to do Hands of the Ripper.
Oh,
however, Dennis Waterman died, so then I was thinking about doing Scars of Dracula.
That would be a very good one.
Which was I think the inspiration for this podcast.
Yes.
Or we could do the Curse of Fenric.
I think we should do Scars because it's the first Hammer film that I ever saw.
Okay.
And I think you two would like Hammer's attempt at like a giallo Italian.
Okay.
It's mental.
Right. So in which case,
and it's got Patrick Troughton in.
We would do. Well, for some reason it says Cars of Dracula, which I think
Cars of Dracula would be amazing.
John would love
all the different cars that Dracula had.
Yeah. So Scars of Dracula, and then we would do, instead of Life Force with Patrick Stewart, which is
that's mental.
Which I wanted to do next. We will do Curse of Fenric the following.
Yeah.
I would say the following 2 weeks, but probably in November at the rate we're going at.
The amount of work I have on at the moment, it'll probably be in 3 years time.
Okay, cool. But so catch us in 3 years' time for the Scars of Dracula.
Yeah, amazing. I'm looking forward to that one because that's a proper General Witchfinders, that is.
Okay, cool. Right, until then, I'm picking up. I don't know what I'm doing here. Yeah.
Hang loose.
Love, light, and peace.
Love, light, yes.
Stay safe, everyone. Thank you for listening as always.
Catch you later. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the General Witchfinders. Support the show and continue the conversation at patreon.com/General Witchfinders. Subscribe and spread the word at generalwitchfinders.com. Farewell, and don't have nightmares.
Yeah, but why stencil font? Why does it look like it's like MASH?
It looks like MASH or something to do with a war, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's James doing? He's tinkering away with his laptop there, isn't he?
I think he's holding up his phone.
Or is he trying to take a picture of something?
I don't know.
I think he's taking a picture of something.
Can he not? I don't know if he can hear us.
Can he hear us?
James? This is where we realise James has been a recording. James?
Has James died? And now we can just see a loop of...
it's just his ghost.
James. Oh, hang on. He sent us a picture. He sent us a picture, please.
I'm back.
Oh, he's back.
I'm back.
What happened?
Just all of a sudden, just me, John talking, Zoom froze and I lost the sound.
Oh, okay.
And then Zoom came back in, but I couldn't hear anything.
Okay, well, let me just stop this a minute. Download what we got.
Where did I get to, James?
One sec, stop.
Oh, John, that's not true.
I can't remember that's it.
The Deadly Assassin, which is one of Tom Baker's greatest stories. Much loved by Mary Whitehouse for the drowning sequence at the end of episode.
It's when they first visit Gallifrey, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah. It's not when they first visit Gallifrey, but you hear a lot of the what becomes canon.
Yes.
The first visit to Gallifrey is arguably the War Games, and then it's next in Three Doctors.
Oh, I didn't realise. Okay, so I will edit
anyway.
that out. I will edit that out so I don't sound like an idiot.